This is absolutely insane. This is getting to the point where you can't even be safe anywhere. You hear these mass shootings, but at a freaking sporting event, at a Super Bowl parade of all things, this is blasphemy. This is litany. This is absolutely disgusting and appalling. And at least one kill in a shooting near Kansas City Chiefs Super Bowl parade. And there's 10 to 15 others injured. Let's get to it.
Details on the incident that happened earlier today. A few things that I want to make sure we note at the outset. First, today, we had 600 Kansas City, Missouri Police Department officers, 250 from outside agencies. We went out today, like everyone in Kansas City, looking to have a celebration. That celebration was marred by a shooting today. And we recognize that there are some who are injured. We are praying for the safety of everyone. I've talked to a few different folks so far. One, we have spoken to the Kansas City Chiefs, who made clear that their prayers are with everyone who was at the parade today, everyone in Kansas City, and everyone who was touched by this incident. They also noted that their players, coaches, and staff are all accounted for at this point and safe. We, however, note that this is a fluid situation, so all that we are sharing now may change as the hours go ahead. We've also received a call from the White House that offered all federal assistance in the investigation. We had federal agencies present today. We appreciate that, and certainly in the days ahead and the hours ahead, we will make sure we continue to do this work. I will say personally, first, a thank you to the women and men of law enforcement, to the women and men who work with the Kansas City Fire Department and our other agencies. When the shooting started, I, like many others, ran for safety. I saw a number of agencies, including the Kansas City Police Department, officers with guns drawn who were running towards danger. We thank them for that. As I was leaving the scene, I saw members of our Kansas City Fire Department administering aid to folks who are seriously injured without concern for the shootings and the challenges that were near them. This is absolutely a tragedy, the likes of which we would have never expected in Kansas City, and the likes of which we will remember for some time. However, I want to say thank you to those who are making sure that we are safe today, those who are investigating this incident, and those who will continue to make sure that those who committed these acts today are brought to justice. We'll come back for some questions at the end of the Chief's comments, but now the Police Chief, Stacey Graves.
Chief Stacey Graves, Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. At the conclusion of the Chiefs rally today, there were shots fired on the west side of Union Station. Immediately, officers responded to the area, took 2 people into custody, and also immediately rendered life-sustaining aid to those victims. We're still gathering information on the number and the status of victims. But like I said, we know that one of the victims is deceased. We also know that officers ran towards danger. Officers were there to keep everyone safe. I'm angry at what happened today. The people who came to this celebration should expect a safe environment. We had over 800 law enforcement officers, Kansas City and other agencies, at the location to keep everyone safe. Because of bad actors, which were very few, this tragedy occurred, even in the presence of uniformed law enforcement officers, who again ran towards them and took them into custody. To the people who are injured in this tragedy, our hearts go out to you and your families. This investigation is just beginning, and we are working safely to clear all surrounding areas and businesses. This is still an active investigation. We will continue to keep you updated. We will keep you updated on Twitter and most likely a follow-up press availability. Do you have anything? No. One of our victims has been declared deceased. We have right now we have up to 10 to 15 injured. Yes. Right now, we do not have an exact number of people people who were victims of a gunshot wound. It could be upwards from 10 to 15, with one deceased. I do not have conditions on our victims just yet.
Any believed to be children?
I do not believe that any of them were children.
Any law enforcement injured in this? First responders?
Nothing of note.
Chief, what prompted? What do you guys believe now prompted the shooting?
That is still under investigation. I myself was outside when I heard the shots fired. It is an ongoing investigation. It's going to take us a little bit to determine exactly what led up to the shooting. I will say, though, we do have 2 suspects in custody.
There are reports circulating on social media that some fans may have helped contain.
I have heard that as well. I have heard that fans got involved in the apprehension or the pursuit of one of the suspects. I cannot confirm that right now, but that is something that I have heard myself. Yes. Absolutely. As soon as the rally concluded, there were shots fired on the west side of Union Station. Officers were on scene in the area. I know one of the suspects was immediately pursued on foot. Like I said, there's 2 suspects in custody. I have heard the information that was just requested. I will confirm or deny that. But after that, immediately officers began rendering life-sustaining aid, calling in fire, which is the fire department, to also assist those victims.
Do you know if there were more than 2 people taken into custody? Because we had 2 people after you guys had made your announcement for the 2 people in custody. 2 people live on our air being taken, handcuffed, put into vans. So can you talk about that and the process as this investigation continues?
I don't know exactly the 2 that you're talking about that your camera caught on video being loaded into a wagon. I don't know that, but I can tell you that in and around that scene, it is still active. Not active in necessarily threats, but it's a very active scene. We're still investigating. This is still early on. We still have parties that are walking into hospitals.
Do you know anything about the suspects in terms of where they're from? Are they from?
I do not know that, but that's something that I also will be finding out.
2 questions. We were hearing upwards of maybe 20 shots. Can you talk about the number that you heard?
I'm hearing 10 to 15, possibly 15, with the one that is deceased.
And do you know anything about the timing? It seems odd that it's related to the very end of the rally.
I don't have anything about. I can't give you an answer on the timing. I can just say that that's when it occurred, and we are investigating what led up to that. Maybe once we get some of those details, we'll know why that happened at that time. But right now, it's still too new.
Chief, is it just one incident or multiple incidents that injured one?
That is something that is under investigation.
Mayor Richard Lucas talked about how you were on the ground and you yourself had to run for safety. I understand we're still waiting on a timeline and trying to understand what exactly happened. But we were having a Super Bowl parade, and this is what the country is talking about now. What is your message to this city at a time like this?
I second the comments about the chief of police. I'm heartbroken. First of all, I'm praying for the victims and the families impacted. I start with them. I'm incredibly upset, disappointed. I was there with my wife. I was there with my mother. We never would have thought that we, along with Chiefs players, along with fans, hundreds of thousands of people, would be forced to run for our safety today. I think that I'll let the investigation shake out before coming to any further conclusions, but I think the initial response absolutely is anger. You know, we have done a number of these now, and this is a day that a lot of people look forward to, something they remember for a lifetime. And what they shouldn't have to remember is the threat of gun violence, marring a day like this, injuring them and their families. This morning, I was actually thinking about bringing my child, as many people in Kansas City did. And I don't want us to have to, in our country, for every big event,
think about a concern of being shot. As the chief noted, we had a lot of law enforcement officers there today. They did exceptional and outstanding work, and I will second that again. Because on your timeline point, I was inside of Union Station. We heard something. A number of us start running, and I see a stream of officers going the exact other direction. In, with guns drawn, ready to address danger. And that was the situation throughout. People who responded absolutely immediately. But I
Jim, what
wish
do you think
that we
about
lived in a
this,
world
huh?
where they wouldn't have to do that. I wish we
You had a
lived in a
constant
world where
heart.
we
You
wouldn't
think
have to
this is
see
really fucked
incidents
up,
like
huh?
that. But I'm as heartbroken as anybody. We will do
Knowing
a
this
full
dumb
and thorough
fucker has to go to
investigation.
parade to celebrate a
I
Super Bowl
hope that we
champion
bring
with a
whoever
gun.
this is to justice.
Start
And
opening
we will
fire and
continue to try to
blasting.
make sure that we can be as safe as possible. However, when you have
What's next?
people
Somebody
who
gonna pull a
decide
gun
to
when
bring
you go
guns
shop
to
at a
events,
restaurant or
when you
playing
have
golf,
people who are
or you
deciding
ride your bike
to
down
try
the
to
street,
mar
it's
events,
fucking crazy.
celebratory ones like this one, all of us start to become members of this club that none of us want to be a
That's why we
part
need tougher gun laws.
which is those who experience mass shootings. I hope for Kansas City this is one of the last times we experience them.
Were the players in danger at any point?
What's that? Sorry, go
Players
ahead.
in danger at any point?
Was I in danger?
Were any players, Chiefs players?
You know what? I think we'll let the investigation take a look at that. The police department responded effectively, I think incredibly quickly, to make sure that people would be out of harm's way. That being said, a number of us had to flee from a situation because we heard a sound of gunshots. So I'll let you answer your own question in terms of whether you think that's something that puts you in danger or not. In my view, anytime shots are nearby, you don't know where they're coming from, you don't know who's firing them and all of that, then perhaps there is a situation of danger. But
Okay, thanks guys. Thank you guys. We're gonna get back inside.
Can I ask a fire question?
Of the 10 to 15 injured, so are all of those gunshots on it? And do you have a sense of how many, or are some of those also critical? The injured?
We've covered that. We don't have that
I
information.
just have a fire question.
Hold on, 10 to 15 is what we have, potentially 15. One deceased. I don't have a condition on the other gunshot victims.
No gunshots.
Correct. It's
We
correct.
don't know how many.
One fire question.
I do not.
Because Chief Graves said there
We're
were.
going to have a lot of updates later, guys. We got to go inside and gather this information. I appreciate it.
What are the updates, Jake, later?
Well, just look on Twitter. I just have one. I just have one. Excuse me. I just have one thing to say. This is not Kansas City. I'm angered by what happened, but I want you to know that the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department and all the law enforcement officers that were there today, that were serving and protecting, did the best that they could, and I'm so proud of them that they ran into danger, getting 2 people into custody, and at the same time rendering life-sustaining aid to those victims. We were here for a safe celebration, and because of 2 bad actors or more, is why we're standing here today. We will recover as a city. My heart goes
Yeah,
out to
people say the people that are racing winners
our
are bad
victim who
actors.
is deceased.
Yeah, okay.
But your police department stands ready, and we are invested in the safety and betterment of Kansas City. Thank you.
We'll send you guys more updates on Twitter, okay? Follow the Twitter account and we'll put the updates.
All right, we have been listening to authorities in Kansas City provide an update on the shooting that took place in the area of the Chiefs Super Bowl victory parade. The police chief confirmed at least 1 person has been killed. 2 suspects are in custody. But Errol, the thing that popped out to me from that press conference was that she said, Police Chief Stacey Graves, I'm angry at what happened today, and we heard that echoed from Mayor Quinton Lucas, who said he thought about he was there with his wife and his mother, and he thought about bringing his kid, and he said, I don't want, for every big event, to worry about being shot.
But that's such a real statement because so many of us now do because of incidents like this. The police chief is angry. The mayor is upset. At least 1 person is dead. The police chief there also saying that between 10 and 15 people have been injured. It's unclear exactly how many of them were victim of gunshot wounds, but we heard them begin the press conference by saying you had hundreds of police officers and other officials in the area of the parade at the time of the shooting, and they do now have, in their language, 2 suspects in custody who they believe triggered all of this. Let's not forget that you had such a crush of people that panic itself could have led to injuries.